get it rolling. Yo, we back with another one.
Yes,
Culture
sir.
Content. I'm K.
I'm Chaz.
And we are Culture Content. Today our special guest is Vernard Alexander. Sir, thank you. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Gotta get the energy right as always. Yeah.
Let's go.
A real special guest. You know, first off, Mr. Vernard Alexander, A.K.A. the plug, or the
A.K.A. the Connect King.
The Connect King, you know what I mean? My bad about that. I gotta get that right. The Connect King out here in Pittsburgh, if you ain't know, now you know. CCAC, Point Park graduate, Masters in Adult Education, Bachelor in Secondary Social Studies, and Associates in Teachers Ed. Yeah. Very qualified, certified brother here, and like I said, we all about quality, you know what I mean? Quality over everything. So, as always, our guest comes with a lot of accolades and, a lot of accomplishments. And we just want to talk about it today. So, again, thank you for pulling up to this show for us. So tell us, more about who you are, what you do, and how you got started for the people who may not have known you or heard about you.
Cool. Thanks for the introduction. Thank you for having me here today. Mm-hmm. Where do I start? I guess a lot of people know me as the Connecting King, Vernard Alexander, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. Been here all my life, and most of my passion centers around entrepreneurship, making sure that Black and brown folks in the region have access to whatever they need to start or expand a business.
Right, and look, that's why we needed you on Culture Content, right? Because we for the people, about the people, like football, for us, by us.
Indeed.
Facts.
Okay, so tell us about what you do now, and how you got started into it.
Cool. Where do we want to start? We want to start with the day job or the actual business?
We're going to start from the top down, and then we'll ask some questions in between.
Okay. Currently, for the last 2+ years, I'm the executive director of the E3 Alliance, which stands for the Equitable Entrepreneur Ecosystem. Long story short, my job is to build the pipeline in a region to make it easier for people like you and I to access the vast amount of resources. So there are, not including all the chambers, there are 200+ entrepreneur support organizations in Western PA.
Wow, okay.
Many of them are organizations that run entrepreneur programs 24/7, 365 a year. Some of them are organizations that get a little bit of money from a source, and they may just run a workshop once a year.
Okay.
If we're going to keep it real, most of those organizations don't have Black program managers. They don't have Black executive directors or decision makers. And a lot of these organizations don't have Black folks who are in the community, who are on our board of directors, who are making decisions, with the input of people from the community, right? And so a lot of these organizations are chasing dollars. They get dollars from different resources, right, to run these programs, but a lot of the programs don't make it down to the community. So our job with the E3 is we're building a coalition of organizations who are like-minded, who are passionate about working with Black and brown entrepreneurs, working with entrepreneurs that identify as LGBTQIA, right, and making sure that there's a pathway for them. So we started out with 7 organizations. Now we're up to 9 who have been vetted out, who are our partners in this type of work. So we design programming for Black and brown folks, and we do collaboration within the organizations. We have preferred partners who are not necessarily members yet, but they also do good work. And what we also do on a lighter basis is that we kind of listen to the people in the community, and we're assessing these other 190+ organizations and are they really out there doing the work, or they're getting money, right? And so there's a lot of organizations that want to be part of a collaborative, but we actually have an assessment tool where we rate them as well to make sure that they're doing equitable work within a community.
And what is that?
Yeah, how does it look?
So we have this 20. We call it an E3 scorecard. There's 20 questions on there, and we rate each organization based on the answers and the score of the questions. So, for example, the black population of the city of Pittsburgh is somewhere close to 30%, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the considerations is, what does your client profile look like? You know, are you serving at least 30% of people who are black and brown? Now, if not, then that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but kind of explain to us what's your plan moving forward to tap into the communities and making sure that folks have access to these resources. One of the questions is, what is your staff composition? Like, what are practices do you have where you're hiring more black and brown folks and folks that have, diverse candidates? Do you have an equity statement saying that you really support, black and brown folks, social justice movement? Do you have a LGBTQIA statement saying that you're not as, being discriminatory practices from folks who, are gay, lesbian, trans, etc. So, we just basically are out here, creating a pipeline and bridge for folks who are from underserved communities and making sure that we have equal access. Some of these organizations are getting a couple $1 million a year to work with 10 entrepreneurs, right? And they're all white and they're all tech, right? And there's a place for that, but like, what are you doing to tap into these communities where there's black folks who are interested in tech and who have tech ideas and who need a little bit of capital and mentorship to kind of get their idea off the ground.
Catapult them to the next level.
Yeah, that's breaking barriers, man.
Absolutely. So that's what I do during the day. I'm also the founder of CKB Suites, which is a 1,200 square foot intimate size event space in Homewood on Homewood Avenue. People
go check that out.
Thank you.
Phone locked.
There you go.
we got you.
So
right in the Homewood, man.
People rent it out for birthday parties, repasts, graduations, any type of event as long as it's legal. It's a beautiful space, 17 windows all the way around.
A natural light.
Natural light's fine.
Come on now.
Started it almost 6 years ago. I have 2 business partners now that I brought in a year ago because, I had my hands in so many things and I'm so busy that, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we cut corners.
Right.
And we think people can't see them. And, for me, I could not effectively do everything. So I had to bring in a couple partners who, can add that extra touch to it to elevate the space.
And can I say something about that? That's basically just scaling your business, right? Because, like you just said, you're stretching yourself, right? So they say, like, when you can make $1 million by yourself, right? But in order for you to make $10 million, you need a team, right? You need to duplicate yourself and have people do what you need to do. Or do what you can do. And
then some, add value.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I gave up 60% of equity of the business for $0.
That's like
right?
Shark Tank out here.
Right? Because my thing is, my time is more valuable than money. So instead of being in a space 10, 15 hours a week or more, I'm literally, my involvement is very minimum. So, like, to me, even if I only make, $100 a month from the space, I got my time back to do other things and to make more money potentially in other areas.
Right. How do you come up? Was that the sole decision why you gave up 60%? It was just to get your time back? Because I feel like that's a lot. I feel like if you
you split it between 2 people, so therefore I think it's still the majority.
30-30.
That's what it sounds like to me, 40-30-30.
40-40-20, and I'm 40. Okay. One of the 40s.
So you don't care about not having like control over the business anymore? You just,
absolutely. I don't.
You don't?
No.
But I heard like when you start your business, that's like your baby. Like you just was like, I'm going to let go. Or you just knew it was time to let go.
Right. But it's also not my main business as well. So that would be different.
Right. Okay.
And speaking of the main business, 17 years ago, I founded the Minority Networking Exchange because I was concerned about the retention of minority-owned businesses in Western PA. So a lot of what I've done over the years is host a variety of business and social networking events, business consulting. Business has pivoted over the last few years. So what I mainly do is I host events in the community. I host a Motivational Monday at Nobleman Cigar Lounge every Monday in Penn Hills, which is geared towards business networking. There's also a guest bartender event that's kind of embedded in that as well. So sometimes there's 2 events in one. A couple times a month, I host guest bartender events at Younger's Bar on the north side, and I get local celebrities.
Shout out to Jamie.
He's one of our guests.
That's right. I saw that.
The LU connection,
Yeah, Jamie's my guy.
Everything's full circle,
right?
Man.
So we host guest bartender events there. We get local celebrities. We've had current mayor A.K.A, former mayor Bill Perduto, many former professional athletes. And they guest bartend, and all the money goes to the charity of their choice.
Nice.
You know, and so we probably raised about $100,000 over the last few years doing that for different, mostly Afrocentric grassroots organizations or community sports leagues, and whatever their cause is, that money will go to it. So those are some of the events that I host. What I really do a lot is I do a lot of paid social media engagement for different organizations. So my core market is white-led nonprofits, foundations, corporations, and some Afrocentric organizations that have resources, programs, or whatever type of message that they want to get into our community. So that's like my core, and then I promote it for them online for a fee.
Okay, and this is on your platform.
This is on my personal Facebook page, right? And so, you know, it's lucrative, and it's pretty much like my favorite thing to do, you know, so.
Okay, you got your...
Yeah, you got your hands
in
a
a
lot.
whole bunch of stuff. Like,
I want to go first, but like, my whole thing is like, we all got that why. Like, why are you doing this? Like, connecting the dots, bridging the gap. Like I mean, we spoke off camera. You say you're not an activist. You know, you're not that type of person, but everything you do is it's iconic, you know, for us, you know. And I see you like to just stay under the radar, but it's just like, why do you do this? What's your purpose?
It started out as just connecting Black businesses to help them to obtain resources. And I want to say probably around the time you moved here, and maybe
Well, him and me, I moved
10, 11 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
So the only Black radio station that we have are like the most major, Whammo. It was sold, and then it went away. And so around the time Whammo went away, there was a big disconnect of getting information out into the Black community. And this is around the time of the height of social media, Facebook. So I was able to personally parlay that into a way where I could financially benefit, because I was using social media in the early days of promoting politicians. So I've been a paid influencer for current Mayor A.K.A. I was a paid influencer for former Mayor Bill Perduto. I've done some influencing for state representatives, city council reps, and different things like that, and being a paid influencer for different organizations. So for me, it was a way to get information into the community and spread really quick, right? And then, you know, people would say, why should we pay you? Or people would be like, why would they pay you to spread information on social media? Because I'm a trusted member of the community, and I may not always get it right? You know, sometimes it, you know, like in retrospect, it may, you know, my personal opinion or recommendation may have been a dud, right? You know, we don't always get it. I don't always get it right 100% of the time, right? But you have these organizations that will get ads in newspapers, radio spots, Pittsburgh Regional Transit, buses, this, that, and the third, and you don't know what that return on investment is. I've had many campaigns where someone paid me and was like, we had 50 slots for this program, and I'll put it out on social media, and within an hour or two, there are no slots left. Right? Or I've had people who were in grad school and they were like, hey, and this isn't even a paid thing. It's just more being an influencer, connector. Exactly. It's like, hey, I'm working on this project for my doctorate degree and I need 100 people to fill out this survey for them. And I'm like, hey, I'm cool with this young lady. She's doing good work. She needs help with the last piece of her puzzle. Can somebody fill out this survey for her? It's going to take 10 minutes. Then she reached out to me within 2 hours and be like, I got 125 and so my thing is, how can I monetize that? And I've been able to monetize that, to be able to eat real good out that, by getting information out to the masses.
So that's the reason they call you the Connect King.
It started out as a buddy of mine who's a lot more seasoned than us, Walter Fortson. He dubbed me the Networking King, and for years everyone called me the Networking King. Current Mayor A.K.A. When he was state rep, he had that go viral every time we be out and about somewhere. You gotta meet the Networking King. You gotta meet the Networking King. Now Ed still calls me the Networking King. Try to tell him to call me. The new name is Connecting King.
Shorten it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Networking, right? So this is what networking is, right?
Absolutely. You
go out to an event. I introduce you to, or I tell you like, hey, go meet this person in the corner, right? They can help you. Like that's networking, right? I'm telling you where to go, right? But
because you heard my story, you know what I need. You know that person provides that service, correct? And then has additional information.
But the real connecting is be like, hey, I got this brother, and here's another good brother. I walk out together. I connect you together, introduce you, and make sure that connection is real. Versus networking, you grab somebody's business card, you leave an event, you got 50 business cards. 3 days later, you haven't emailed one person, right? So that's connecting is like that next level up from networking.
That's the major difference between networking and connecting.
Absolutely.
If you didn't know, now you know.
And so, which was, just so I'm clear, what was the event that titled you the Connect King?
I don't know if it was an event. I mean,
it was just all the time.
It was so like a lot of the networking, or a lot of the connecting is, in person, but now with social media and technology, you can connect people so quick. I'm at events, I'm on Zooms, and I'm like, I'm texting people, I'm texting two people at the same time. You need to get to know each other. Or, and a lot of people like traditional email, I use Facebook Messenger, hey, I need to introduce you to John, boop, 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 by Messenger, and they start the conversation. I delete myself out the conversation. My job is done.
Facts. We need good people like that.
So, Minority Networking Exchange, you've been recognized for a lot of different awards. One of the awards was the Fab 40 Under 40 and the 50 Men of Excellence. Yep. You also got the Visions to War Peace Council and LLC Roadrunner Award.
You want me to take the bam for now? I'll switch while you read that off. I'll switch while you read that off.
You know what I'm saying? Cool. You know what I'm saying? BME Leader Recognition up in Pittsburgh. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? Also, you got an award for the Hope for Tomorrow Spirit of Hope Award a couple years ago. Yeah. So all these awards and accomplishments you're getting, how are you able to stay centered and not get too big headed? You know what I mean? Because you are connecting a lot of different people. You are doing a lot for the community. You know what I mean? And one could be like, man, I'm the man. I'm walking around here with your chest out, but like Kay said, you humble as ever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Coming in humbly. So how do you able to stay level?
Oh, man. I don't know. I think for me, I feel like I'm just at the tip. I'm just like scratching the surface of my own potential. So, where I get a lot of recognition in the community and from different people, and, it's great. It's humbling. Sometimes you can kind of stick your chest out, but at the same time, you're like, man, I ain't accomplished shit yet.
Like,
I have not accomplished anything. Like, people think I'm there. I'm
I still would.
I'm just, I haven't peaked yet. So, and one of the things is, understanding how these awards work now is, I think a lot of times that you're not saying that anyone who has received an award is not deserving. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is recognition for being an extrovert and having your work on Front Street, right? So there's a lot of unsung heroes in our community who are more introverted and more behind the scenes. So I think what keeps me grounded and humble is, making a mental note of who some of these folks are. Mm-hmm. And when these awards roll back up the next year is to kind of like repay the favor, so to speak, by nominating folks who have never been nominated for anything. And, just making sure that I kind of give back in that way of quietly, helping somebody else kind of be on Front Street, because you never know. Some of these awards may lead into speaking opportunities, financial opportunities as far as contracts or even employment opportunities. So I want to make sure that, helping our folks, get recognized in that way.
Yeah, and I will say, I was listening to the word this morning. Thank you for patting my back. But the message was basically, part of the message was, how do you stay humble is God will humble you, like no matter how well you're doing or how good things you think are going, like you're going to feel pain just as any normal person. God forbid somebody passes away, right? No matter if it's Oprah or if it's the janitor, right? Oprah's rich, he may be poor, but like y'all still gonna feel that pain if somebody dies or if you lose somebody. And we don't want to talk about death on here, but at the same time, and those are humbling moments, to make you feel pain where you like, dang, or even
lose something
untouchable,
or even lose something that like you had for a long time, like, or whatever you was thinking, like it's taken away from you. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't even notice it. It's like, man, well, I gotta go back to the drawing board about X, Y, and Z. So it's just interesting.
It was we're gonna go into that. We're not gonna have a sermon today.
So, what is your affiliation with the Noblesman Cigar Bar? Like you said, you have different events there, weekly, monthly, a lot of networking events. What is your affiliation with? Do you own it? Do you own them, or you have?
No, I'm just a paid. I would say like I'm the paid promoter / host of my own weekly event. Okay. From October until the end of June, I've hosted an event called Motivational Monday, which they've given me the keys to the car to curate that event any way I want. So I reach out through my personal network to get folks from the community to be the guest speakers, and they speak on a variety of different topics, and it's usually their subject matter expert. So it's helping me drive in people. It's helping on a greater scale have topics in entrepreneurship that people could get for free, almost like master classes, right? And then it's helping promote some folks who put them on a bigger platform to let people know that they're this subject content expert, and they also have businesses as well. So we've had topics ranging from black accountants, bookkeepers, tax experts. We've had multiple sessions where we've had black lawyers, business lawyers, real estate lawyers. We've had violence prevention experts. So even though it's centered around
Connect us, King. Connect, King.
Right. So it's mostly business networking, but we'll bring in other topics as well.
Something that's essential to the community, though.
I've had therapists in there multiple times to talk about healthy relationships. not necessarily like sexual or, intimate relationships, but even just relationships with your friends, your family, your children. Mm-hmm. So we've had every topic within entrepreneurship. We've had bankers. I've had bankers come out twice, and I call it the reverse pitch. A lot of times we're pitching our ideas to the people who got the money. Mm-hmm. Well, we did twice reverse pitches where we had 15, 17 institutions come, and I've given them 3 minutes to say, okay, what is your organization offer, and why should we bring our business to you? And Nobleman's only so big. I mean, our first time we had about 150 people packed up in there like sardines, and it was a hit. People were actually able to get funding from that event. Wow. This is a young lady I know. She's there quite often. She got $85,000 towards her food business. We had people there get, $100,000 from local institutions. Mm-hmm. We've had like elevator pitch competitions where folks would have 30 seconds to introduce their business to the whole group, and we've given out $500 prizes just for you to talk for 45 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. So just trying to elevate entrepreneurship within our region, within our community, at a cigar bar.
And when's the next one you said? When's the next one?
Tentatively start back up the first week, the first Monday of October.
Right. I'm going to put that on the calendar. Let me put that on my notes real quick. We can use an extra $500 for the podcast, get some things going. That's good to hear, though. So, love what you're doing with the community, man. I mean, we pride ourselves too on just like giving back, and you mentioned just like networking or connecting and putting information back out there, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's our whole purpose, is just getting knowledge, taxes, real estate, the Connect King, mental health, like that's all we'll be about. So it's good to have you here so we can connect the dots. I wanted to switch gears just a little bit, because you had made a post, and and it was just a couple days ago, but because it was so close in range, I felt like you needed a platform to speak on it, right? So I figured, why not culture content, right? Hey. And this is what we stand by too. So you posted about why white police are able to keep white suspects alive if they like a mass shooting, or they know how to capture them, put cuffs on them, keep them alive, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to when the suspect is a black or minority, we don't always make it out of those same interactions with those same aggressors. So why do you think there's a versus, or why do you think there's that problem? Or what did you want to speak to it when you had those thoughts going through your head at that time?
Wow. I mean, so many different thoughts on that latest incident where Allegheny County Police, Pittsburgh Police, State Police, the FBI were shooting into the house of the man who allegedly shot at the sheriffs. Mm-hmm. And
you're talking about the other day, the 6 hour hold up.
The 6 hour hold up with Mr. Hardison.
Yeah.
And my fiance and I actually live on that same street.
Oh, wow.
And we live 6 to 7 blocks east to there. So, I was at work. She was off that particular day. So I called her, let her know what was going on. And she knew about it. And I was just like, stay home, whatever. Yeah. And, I just think about locally and nationally the incidents that occur where mostly white men are able to walk away and have their day in court. I think about that young white boy who went down into the church. I think it was in South Carolina or somewhere, and he shot at Dylan Roof. Killed I think 12 or 15 people at the church. Was able to go to McDonald's or somewhere.
Took him to Burger King to get Whopper Jr.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Here in the city of Pittsburgh, we had, the Tree of Life massacre where the guy went into the synagogue and killed a dozen people or so, right? And shot and injured multiple Pittsburgh police officers and was still able to surrender and have his day in court. Around the time before I think he moved here, and it may have been 2009, in the city of Pittsburgh in Stanton Heights, 3 police officers were shot and killed by a guy who ambushed the police.
Wow.
A guy had an episode, I think, with his mother or someone, and when the police showed up, he shot and killed 3, including a black police officer, and he was able to surrender. And I just think about all the other incidents where, locally and nationally, where there may have been a black man with a gun, and sometimes it may not have been an aggressive movement, but just because he had a gun on his physical presence, that he was immediately shot and killed. And so my question is, like, what goes into these decisions? And I know the NAACP and some other organizations locally had a meeting a few days ago with the new Pittsburgh police chief, and they were like, some people on my post was like, bring your questions to him. I was like, he's been here 60 days, right? So even though this is a law enforcement issue, I'm not going to put it on a guy who's, paperwork is still wet, right? And it's just not him. It's a systemic issue that involves, it's so many layers. It's, Pittsburgh Police, Allegheny County Police, Port Authority Police, State Police, and it could be a national conversation. It's just not. It's more than one conversation. Like, what is going into this? And we've heard stories where in the police training, like, they have dolls or mannequins that look like black dudes who are dark skinned with dreads or braids, right? So I think sometimes even the police do all this psychological testing before they could go on the street, but it's already put in their head, like what subjects may look like,
This is a threat, or this is harm to you, all based off your skin color,
right?
Or for real, any threat.
And I know as a clean cut, light-skinned guy, light-skinned black man, that I have certain privileges that you, as a dark-skinned guy with hair, and especially if you had like braids or locks, that even if we walk down the street together, they may look at you differently. It might tense up a little bit
different, that's
right. And these are real things, and that we really need to discuss.
Yeah, and I want to bring it back just real quick about the guy who had the shoot. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Mr. Hardison.
Mr. Hardison.
I don't want to say his first name because I got 2 in my mind, and I want to make sure I say the right one.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it was so numbing, because when I heard it, and I was just like, in the back of my mind, I was like, I hope he's not a man of color, because I'm like, if he's a man of color, he ain't making it out of this 6-hour shootout,
Especially when the story's out that
he was shooting. He was shooting back, and I'm just like, in my mind, before, probably like an hour in, I'm like, there's no way he's making this out alive. As opposed to, like you said, if it was somebody else, I was like, if it was white, he's good, But I was already thinking that before you even said that, so it's just like, we've already been programmed in ourselves and conditions, not even as police, but just as society, to know that it ain't gonna end good for him, and I hope that does change, because that is a systematic problem. You cannot put something like that on one person and expect him to fix it within any amount of time, right? Because there's all types of checks and balances he's gonna have to go through himself just to get anything to change.
And then he probably has a boss that may or may not approve it. You know what I'm saying? It's always people that are
people that gotta answer to.
Yep. Yeah. You may not be on paper, but you got to answer to them.
Here's the thing: he has a boss. It's the public safety chief who works for the city. So it's the chief of police, the public safety director, and then the mayor, right? But it's even bigger than the police chief, right? Because a lot of times the officers don't respect the police chief because they feel like they're part of government, right? And so who really needs to be at the table is potentially like the head of the police unions, because those are the ones who have the most power. And especially with the one, the city of Pittsburgh, like you look him up and that resume and their political beliefs and just how they view things, Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What? I don't know if I'm on
Okay.
Nah, you know, just a little sketchiness. That's what that was.
Right, that's all it is.
We wasn't trying to say it.
No, yeah. I mean, it's funny because we all know what the purpose of the unions are, is to protect our people, right? But especially when police get caught doing wrong, they go hard to make sure that their jobs are restored. And it's like, well, are they above
law and order?
Law and order. Mm-hmm. Because if you and I jaywalk, you're going to give us a $150 ticket. Whereas, you beat up your girlfriend and you get suspended and still, come back on the job. I'm like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
But they've been doing it. Whether they running a light, they putting their sirens on for no reason. They be on the phone,
texting and driving, then crashing into people and then blame them.
Oh yeah, that's the crazy part.
I'm like, yo, you for real? How you texting and driving, crashing into somebody, and then blame the person?
And then say, "Oh, my headlights."
I was at the it was probably 5-6 years ago. I was at the Pittsburgh Zoo with my sons, and we were in the children's zoo section, right? And they have a little playground in the back, and so it was just us there. It was I think it was my ex, my children's mom, and my 2 kids, and there was this white family there, and husband, wife, 2 children, and something just made me look down.
Okay.
This dude had a little 2-piece on his ankle.
Which means a ratchet?
Like a 22 or something. And I was like,
what's going on?
We at the Pittsburgh Zoo. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, should I go drop a dime? Should I go find zoo staff, drop a dime? And nothing about that particular person made me nervous, but I was nervous that they had a gun in a zoo, and I was like, well, maybe if something happens, then that's the person who won, defend everybody at the zoo, but
hopefully.
But if he have an episode, then we all jacked up, right? So I gathered my kids and got out of there, but throughout the years, I was like, now what if I had a deuce on my ankle, or if you had a deuce on your ankle, and I was like,
kind of visible.
It would be 20 cars there escorting us out.
Straight up.
Absolutely.
And I was just like,
escorting.
Yeah, we would have
that's
they trying to cuff us, put us under the jail.
Man, look, if you talking about escorting, man, we may not be able to get out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you over here, you be confused with your hands up.
Right, what I do.
And I got a license. I got a license to carry, but still.
Yeah. But you got to think too. There's as black men. You're like, do I want to put that black man through that? Because. You're right. I don't know if you don't have an episode or not, but at the same time, are you also subconsciously thinking if I call, it's gonna be a nightmare for this guy. Mm-hmm. I don't want to put him through something. He just trying to walk through the zoo.
Yeah. I assumed that it wouldn't be because he's white, but
Oh, okay. So
boom, boom.
Right. But it's still dangerous, man.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm a firm believer. Anything can happen anywhere.
In the New York Minute, that.
Yeah, anything can happen in the New York Minute. If they can shoot up churches respectfully, they can do the zoo. So it's just there's no barriers, or borders no more where you can just be all right, we gonna stop there. People have lost their freaking minds.
Right. Speaking of shooting, there was just a shooting yesterday. Where the dude shot up a couple people in the Dollar Tree or Dollar General in Jacksonville.
I saw that. Yeah.
So
that's
we're so programmed that when I was watching CNN, that they were it's in a historical black community that's a mile from a black college, right? Mm-hmm. And so, what's your instant thoughts? Your instant thoughts were that the perpetrator was black. To my surprise, I wake up this morning and I see the headlines today, and it says racially motivated shooting in Jacksonville by a guy who was known to hate black people. And I was like, well, damn, ain't that was a twist that I wasn't expecting, when I woke up this morning.
Because you usually don't see that. When it's them people that's doing the shooting, it's always a guy from wherever. When it's a black person, it'd be his whole government, age, where he went to school,
past criminal or ex-convict.
You know, ex-felon.
See, this is where white people, and especially like, not to get political, but like, you know, Republicans get it twisted, right? They're always talking about like black on black crime, and you know, the high percentages of crime in the black community. Crime has nothing to do with race. Crime is about proximity. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about black and black crime, right? Black and black crime is like 80%. If it's like 80%, right? And so like if it's like 80% black on black, it's like 80%, 20% black on non-black, right? But if you look at the FBI's statistics, and they do it every year, white and white crime, it's like 75-80%, so it's the same, right? Now our numbers may be proportionately higher percentage wise, but they don't also account for the historical, you know, oppression and the systematic things that has affected our community for 500 years as well, you know, so they don't take account to that either.
No, why would they? Because now you have to hold yourself accountable for why things is happening in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I want to do a flip side question.
Sure.
This is random that just came to my mind. What do you say to someone of our ethnicity that, you know, they say the system is not the system's fault that we're in the position that we're in right now? What if they say, you know, as a black man, you know, you were born into this world, you're supposed to elevate, you're supposed to get ahead. What do you say to those people who have that different mindset that say the system is doing what it's supposed to do? It's not their fault that you aren't getting ahead. It's not, you know, your fault. Their fault you didn't go to college.
You talking about that bootstrap
conversation? I think.
Just the flip
so
side.
We talking about entrepreneurship, or we just talking about just life?
I'm just talking about life now. So, that's why I said a little flip question. Just wanted to throw it.
So there's a guy on my timeline, and we chat a little bit every once in a while. And he's a black man married to a white woman who's formerly in law enforcement. And it's easy for me to make assumptions where his belief system lies, right? But we've had some conversations, some like private conversations. It's just about personal thoughts. So I sort of know where he like leans towards. And he sent me. We was talking about something, and he was like, you know, and then we got on law enforcement, and I was like, you know, I appreciate what you tried to do while you was doing what you was doing, this, that, and the third, and he's, you know, he had a response that was pretty cool, but then, like, he added on, you know, this is why I hate rap music. And I just ended the conversation, and I didn't say nothing else, right? And I'm like, you know, I think everything's a choice. You know, as a teenager growing up in the projects, I listened to my fair share of NWA, you know, and West Coast hip hop, you know, and you know, I haven't gone around shooting people or, you know, like abusing, disrespecting women, this, that, and the third. And I listen to a ton of that, you know, and it's just an individual, you know, not even now at 51, you know, I got my, you know, favorite like trap artists that I listen to, but it doesn't mean that I'm going around the corner cooking up baking soda and everything, right?
Up to go get a package, like, you know,
but you know, and I kind of regretted not answering in the moment because I know that this particular guy, he's a cool dude. He likes country music, right? But like country music is some of like the most violent shit out there, especially towards black folks, right? And I'm like,
rock and roll too. Yeah.
I'm like, you know, like what you listen to ain't, you know, not necessarily like come to Jesus either,
right?
100%.
So you know, so I think sometimes, like as I get older, I just have to leave people where they are. You know, like some people, you're never going to change their opinion, right? And so even no matter how factual, you know, you just have to let people learn their lessons, because no matter what you think or you believe, you know, at some point in time, America is going to teach you that you're still a black man in America, right? And so if that lesson has not come yet, it's going to come, and if it don't come to you, it's going to come to your kids.
Right, 100%.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, thank you for answering that question. I was like, I know that wasn't on the agenda.
No, you know, I like random questions.
But no, I think it matters just too, because like you said, a matter of perception. I think too, because of where people grew up or how they were raised, that plays an effect on what that thought process is like. Mm-hmm. Like, respectfully, I don't know who you're talking about, whatever the case is, but, you know, he's married to a white woman, you know, so...
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it, but there's also that small inkling, like, would you feel the same had you married a black woman, you know, like, or would you have the same thoughts, or is that the reason why you didn't marry a black woman, because the pressures? And I'm not saying anything, I don't know if you're gonna watch this, my brother, but you good, you still good, my brother. You still good. But it's just real, because being from New York, there's no way that I didn't think that the system had anything to do with my upbringing, or it didn't put me back even a little bit, because I see it every day. You know, luckily I moved out of New York, and I was able to get ahead a lot further, you know, because New York is just... New York is crazy. New York is crazy. Yeah. We all know that.
Let me tell you about the system. So you work... Do they know where you work at by that? Because if not, we won't mention it.
Yeah. You can. I mean,
okay. All right. So check this out. Right. When I used to be a teacher for this big public school system, Pittsburgh Public Schools, right? And this middle school I worked at, they had this list, right, that somehow came across my desk, right? And on the list for middle school, it had like personal demographic information for each student, right? So it was like,
how personal?
How many times have the family moved in the last 5 years? Oh. What's the nuclear family look like? You know, is it a single parent? Is it a nuclear household? Yeah. Has a child been held back at least once? And like, what's the grades, right? GPA or whatever. So there was like 8 different variables on it. And so then it was like, you know, at risk, medium at risk, or extreme at risk, right? And it's just like, you know, we've heard stories about how states are able to look at attendance records and discipline records of kindergarten students or first or second grade students and determine how many beds they need for jail based off of like all the statistics of young kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's so crazy as hell. Like they actually have these reports out and it's making like some serious assumptions that if your family moved 3 times in 3 years, if you've been to 2 different schools in 4 years, that like you're at risk of dropping out. And it's just like, wow.
Like report.
No, yeah, so they have the tests that kids take in 3rd and 4th grade. They use those test scores to figure out if they're gonna build more schools or more jails in that particular community. And that's been going on forever. And I didn't know that until like I was in junior high school. And I didn't really pay attention to it until I went to Lincoln. And we started talking about it. We was talking about it in the class.
Oh, you went to Lincoln? So no wonder you're Jamie's favorite.
But no, so we discussed that. One of the professors was discussing that. And I was just like, yo, this all makes sense. And they was saying like how, like those variables they was talking about. And also like suspensions. And that goes into like how kids are being diagnosed to put into special ed as well. And kids are being misdiagnosed to put in special ed because they might have some behavior issues and they classify it as ADHD or ADD and all these other type of things. And then, you know, that's when they recommend, you know, trying to put them on medicine and things of that nature. So, like, all that stuff plays a part into the school, you know, pipeline from, you know, school to prison.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, like, all that stuff, like, we've been talking about is all systemic. And it's just kind of crazy how the thought process behind people making decisions for us that you don't even know is even happening behind closed doors.
Behind the scenes, there's a small group of people pulling strings. Yeah, that's a deep topic, man. We should have you come back and talk some deep dive further into that, for sure.
Absolutely. We have to have you do like a live podcast at Nobleman in the fall or something like that.
That would be great.
While we got the Motivational Monday,
you
guys could be out on the deck and then you could just interview people coming and going, you know, all type of topics.
Crazy. Yeah, we're good for having a list of questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cringy questions.
Oh, listen, I've cleaned my page up. You know, a lot of people know my social media was reckless back in the day. I would just post any type of questions. I just wake up and be like,
He going for blood.
Like,
He going for blood.
you know, just asking people like, where this place you had sex, you know, like, you know, and people respond to. I had like 500 comments, like
people like stuff like
that. Sex with you came with a warning label. What would it say? And listen, I had politicians comment and pastors at church. Aren't you supposed to be writing? Aren't you supposed to be writing a sermon right now? Like, what are you doing? Like,
he commented on. He's not talking stuff.
But I was like, you know what? I'll come to your church though. Like, you ain't afraid to be in the mix. Like, you know, like I ain't trying to go to the church of the pastor. Like, you know, like this is a sin, and you know, I've never done anything wrong.
Meanwhile,
like pastor be like, he'd be like, I fucked up. I'm like, I like your church. I like you real. Like, listen, I'm going to your church.
Facts.
People don't want to hear that, like, clout stuff. You know,
clout or the judgmental stuff.
Yeah. Keep it real. Keep it 100. You know what I mean?
And if you're watching this, and you have a church, right, and you say, come as you are, and a lady come off the street, and she don't have no clothes. And if the mothers of the church come give her a blanket and put her across her legs, right? And you like shaming her, but you're not addressing the people in the pulpit who may have the wandering eye. So instead of looking at the camera, right, which is her, you should be talking to people over there who got the 4-piece suit on, right? If you ain't doing that, then we ain't going to your church either. Are we allowed to
man. Yeah, because those be the judgmental people that be causing the problems.
No, they
don't accept them.
No, they
accept people.
They the ones who also hit and like aided their members too. But you know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna talk about that.
Sister Annalise is coming up from Bible study and all that. Like, what's going on? Like, what you mean you working late? Like,
talking about
working late is crazy.
Talking about you laying hands. Yeah, you laying more than hands, bro. It's a crazy cut.
It's definitely going up. It's definitely going to get its own section, its own clip. Yeah, let's bring it back though before they
bring it back real.
Shut us down. We love everybody. This is by the way.
So hold on.
You guys?
Yeah.
Talk to us.
Jesus love you too.
All right, real quick. Talk to us about the principles of doing good business and not being shady.
Yeah, the principles of doing good business and not shady. So, you know, if you guys need any type of entrepreneur assistance, you could reach out to me. Easiest way is to reach out to me on Facebook. My page is public, Vernard Alexander. There is a post pinned to the top of my page. You know, read it if you like. You know, like
I posted on this.
It's all about integrity. You know, it's all about integrity. Listen, you have to practice integrity, right?
Exactly.
We're in an era that, you know, black entrepreneurship hasn't been since the 60s, right? Where folks are being intentional about supporting black businesses, black folks, white folks, corporations, organizations are looking for quality businesses to support and to invest in, and you need integrity. You know, like there's folks out here who will scam you in a minute.
Absolutely.
Running like, you know, 2023 versions of Susus. Right? And
the
you know,
version of Susu.
Right. You have to practice great integrity. You know, a lot of people are like customer service. Customer service is important. I think we hold black businesses to a higher standard when it comes to customer service. You could go to McDonald's and get your order fucked up 20 times and you're still going to go back to McDonald's. But when that black business mess up one time, you telling everybody on social media, you know, and it's
keep
like
that same energy with everybody
else. It's like crazy. You know, like I think social media has us, you know, a false sense of like closeness. You know, like we feel like we could touch everybody because of social media. Every time I turn around, somebody tagging Mary Gainey in a post like "fix it." Like, do you realize that this dude is responsible for 300,000 people and he can't fix every individual problem? I'm like, you know, there's process and order, right? And you just have to go through it. But practice good integrity. You know, deliver a good product or service and have strong communication. If, you know, there's a delay, if there's an issue, just reach out to folks. And, you know, folks is willing to work with you, but when you go ghost and get people for $20, $30, $40, $50,000 and don't deliver, certain things, there's gonna be people looking for you.
Like, I don't understand how people do that morally and be okay.
Right.
It's just like that would sit with me like a month. Like,
listen,
you can't be able to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Because you like, damn, I'm really got on. Because you think people gonna bust in your door. I mean, where we from? If you get somebody for some money, they coming to see you.
Especially 30, 40.
You know what I'm saying?
It was about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. Somebody made a post about CKV Suites, but they did not tag CKV Suites. And there's somebody I've known for years, and there was multiple posts that went up, and they talked about the cleanliness of the space of the event that they had. And so I reached out to the person, and they was like, yeah, it wasn't, to where it usually is. And, there was this, there was that. And I was like, we're not above, being criticized and taking that, to do better with our processes. So I reached out to her. We sent her a deposit bag, and then I personally sent her $100 on top of that as well, because I was like, I don't want you to leave with a bad taste in your mouth and your people as well, so like we're going to give you your money back, right? So that we have good integrity and ethics as well, so that you would consider us again if you had another event, so you have to kind of deliver on your word, and again, don't look at that post on my page. Wink, wink. There's a story about integrity, and there's a lot of comments.
There's a lot of comments, a lot of shares. You know what I mean?
But you got to stand on it.
Yeah,
stand on what you do, and principles is everything. But I think too, a lot of people probably wasn't taught those basic principles and those foundational core rules.
That should be 101 though. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you do a business with somebody,
a lot of people haven't been through entrepreneur programs. A lot of them are like 101 versions. So it's kind of like, like going to college, English 101, right? So they may have excelled at 101, but there's still like that 200, 300, 400 level course that they could take. And, after so many years, you need to take that master's, level course as well. Or, just professional development to kind of keep you abreast of like changes and different things, because even 17 years in the game, there's still a lot of stuff I learned from other people as well. So I don't like, I stick my chest out like I've arrived. Like I do okay for myself, but I also have folks who like are millionaires who have less years in the game than me, so there's lessons that you can learn from other folks as well.
Yeah, the day you stop learning is the day you failed yourself.
Facts.
Because you can't depend on the school system to teach you forever. And even then, your masters only take you but so far. Right. And after that, what are you doing? Continue that.
And there's a lot of folks in our community who call themselves business owners, but they're operating out of a side hustle. And there's no shade with that, right? So there's 3 levels. There's the side hustle. There's the person who may sling some dinners once a month, right? And it's not a integral part of their monthly income, right? So I make a couple dollars, I could do something with this, right? But I'm only doing it once a month. Or like the most common example is you see people at events and they're vending, right? If I make sales, I'm cool. If I'm not, then I met some new people. Like that's how you know that's a side hustle, right? Because they're not really like hustling, right? You're not scaling and so then you could be at that same event, and then you have a person who's in front of their table, and they're greeting everyone who come past. They're like enticing you to come in to buy something. Like this is what they do. This is how they make their money, right? This is a integral part of their income. This is how they eat, right? So there's that difference, right? So then that's a business, whether it's full-time business or part-time business, and it becomes part of what they need to survive. And then there's the full-grown entrepreneur that this is what I do, this is my only line of income, I'm out there hustling every day.
Yeah, if I don't make it happen, I don't eat.
Right.
But that's also a mindset too. You know what I mean? Because you can be having a whole bunch of things going on, but not put this as the forefront. Whereas it could be a side hustle, but your mindset is only
and there's nothing wrong with being a side hustle. It's just there's a point where it goes from side hustle to a part full-time business to like this is what you depend on every day.
100%. Okay. All right, Vernard. It's been a pleasure.
Same here.
We had some hot topics.
Hey, listen, I want to come back and just do current events.
We can do it. Welcome, man.
Yeah, I may not be invited to places anymore, but I'm okay with that.
Well, you're always welcome at Culture Content.
Hey, I appreciate
Anytime you want
Culture
to get
Content.
something off your chest, just let us know.
Absolutely.
So, the Minority Networking Exchange.
Yeah, I give you my website, but I don't have one.
Well, real quick.
I don't have one.
Yeah, before you give out your tags for that. What's your next endeavor to give back to the community, or if any? Like, what's your next plans?
So I'm getting married in 2 weeks, and then I'm taking taking off the month, whole month of September, and we'll be in Europe for 2 weeks. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time just kind of thinking about what I want my 2024 to look like. I'm seriously
He's planning that now.
Yeah,
right.
He's planning that now.
I'm seriously considering going out to be a full-time entrepreneur. You know, I'm at a point where I can, but I'm also at a point where I have 2 sons who are looking at college soon, so I may do some things that may be strategic in helping them pay for school without them getting a loan. You know, so I got a couple different things that I'm working on, but business-wise, actually, I plan on doing less so I can make more.
Ooh.
I plan on doing less so I can make more. Because a lot of times, you know, I'm a creative in my mind and I have all these different ideas and I want to do like 20 different things. So if you have 20 different ideas, you don't have one, right? And I have so many people who I meet with every week and they be like, I want to do like 5 different things. I'm like, you got to do one, get that rolling so you can step away from that so that you can get the second rolling. And everyone always says, you know, millionaires have 7 lines of income. Well, you can be a millionaire with 1 line of income, right? It's just that you have the right processes and things in order to make that happen.
And they also scaled it. You're not in this position to scale yet. You know, like I said, the million versus the 10 million. You know, you start at $1 million. You know what I mean? Pun intended. And then, but you create teams, and that's how you have multiple avenues as a millionaire. You don't start off like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You build up to it.
I saw a post. Somebody had like this post up a week ago, and it was like, "Would you do this versus that?" I can't remember what the first was, but the second one was, "Would you be willing to work 13 hours a day for a year to make $100,000 a month?" And which is be 1.2 in a year. And my instant thought was, no, not at 51. The 21-year-old me would do that, but as the older I get, I value my time more. And so, like, even though that's a nice amount of money, and not knowing what type of work that may be, I'm not at a place in my life where I don't want to work 8 hours a day, not alone 13 hours a day, even for $1 million, because at that million, how much of your existing life is that going to cost you? You know, even though you may be providing a legacy. I guess the last thing I want to say is, one of my favorite books is Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And I cannot think of the author's name. Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Autobiography, the first black billionaire in the United States. And the guy started out as a lawyer. He grew up in Baltimore. And he brought this international company for a shade under $1 million. He got investors to give him most of the money. And all his life, he worked like 16 and 20 hours a day. So he worked hard, played hard. But after the $1 million deal went through, $1 billion deal, 6 months later he was dead from an aneurysm. And I'm like, so like even personally, I've had these lofty goals of being like a multi-millionaire, this, that, and the third. And even though, I do very well for myself, I'm like, even if I don't get there, but I still, are able to enjoy my life, where it is, I'm okay with playing more than I actually work, you know? So, you know, that's my whole thing is, you know, I think we as Americans, we work way too much. And I don't want to do it no more. You know, and you know, and I think I've discovered my own system where I can make more money in literally a lot less time. And like, that's the thing. And I don't have to be greedy, you know, and I want to teach you how you could do the same thing.
Facts. Yeah, work smarter, not harder. You know what I'm saying? So that's all what life is about nowadays, and that's what 2020 told us. You know, like, yo, we've been spending way too much time at work and not enough time with family.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think there is a balance that some people don't want to work, but then I think that's the other half of it is people know their worth, they value. Like, yo, I'm not going to give you my life, like, no matter how much you pay me, you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that's important. So, last but not least, can you run us down, tell us where they can find you at, your website? No, let me start. Or how they can get in contact with you. And then we got one more thing for you, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Hard to find a web developer in Western PA, especially a black one. There's some good ones out there, but there's some scammies, and he was the only one who was exposed. But anyway, you can find me on any social media platform, Vernard Alexander. You can email me at Vernard@VernardAlexander.com. VernardAlexander.com will be the new website once I find a new developer. Listen, you can always call or text me unsolicited, 412-303-0808. But you know, social media is where I probably spend the most time, you know, so that's the easy way to definitely connect with me. And I have a newsletter that comes out a couple times a week as well, so you can tap into that by, you know, shoot me a text or reaching out on social media so that you could, you know, find out more about what's going on around town, you know, with entrepreneurship, etc.
Yeah, we need to get on that newsletter as well.
Yeah, we're going to tune in with you on that motivational Monday or at the Cigar Lounge. We're going to
tap in for sure.
Absolutely.
So, last but not least, as a guest, we got you just a little thank you gift. Nothing crazy, you know, but we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Pulling up.
Thank you.
Drink that at your leisure. You know, he like, open it now. Like, while waiting.
I'm a percent, you know. Thank you.
100%. Yeah, wristband. Exclusive. We gonna get some new ones.
Yeah, we'll upgrade them.
We'll send you new ones too. But yeah, on that note, man, again, Mr. Vernard Alexander, we appreciate you for coming through the show and showing us love, talking business, talking
current events,
you know, all the above, man, and that's what we strive for. I love that, you know, we're in two different spaces but share the same idea, which is just uplifting our community, giving back to our culture, you know, and just spreading news and information out there, especially for Pittsburgh, because like you said, like Whammo is like the only station that's really putting information out there, but we hope to be like the next Whammo 2.0.
Hey,
you know?
Keep doing what you're doing. This is great.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. So, looking forward to having you back on the show. And so, real quick, we're gonna end it. You say your name when it's your turn to go. All right. I didn't coach you at the beginning, but we gonna do it the right way still. So again, I'm Kay.
I'm Chaz.
And our special guest today is
Vernard Alexander.
Let's go.
Let's culture content, baby.
Appreciate you.
Hey, thank you.